Hello friends. Today I will tell you a story about the richest man on earth. Richer than Musk and Bezos. The story of Mansa Musa, the richest man to ever live on the planet. The Sultan of the Malian Empire built a paradise on earth for his subjects, becoming richer than modern billionaires. At the beginning of 2021, the head of Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk, worth $176 billion, and the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, $182 billion, are competing for the title of the richest man in the world. But even adding up their money, they will still be poorer than Mansa Musa, the richest man in the history of the world. In the 14th century, he was the owner of the world's largest gold and salt deposits, which provided his income. Mansa Musa successfully ruled the Malian Empire, one of the most powerful states in medieval West Africa, for 25 years, turning it into a financial and intellectual center and successfully collapsing the economies of competing countries. Scientists and architects from all over the world considered it an honor to move to Mali and work there. Musa's descendants did not save the country, and it fell apart into several parts, mired in civil strife. However, the legendary Sultan is still remembered and revered in his native Mali. A replacement on the throne or Mansa Musa's path to power. 14th century Mali is one of the most successful and prosperous states in Africa. Having appeared on the world map in 1230 on the ruins of the Ghana Empire, the new country developed dynamically and captured new territories. Despite political instability, sultans overthrew each other, usurped the throne, died at the hands of bandits. Gold, along with salt, were the main minerals in Mali, due to which the country's budget was replenished. Salt was then valued at the same level as gold, especially in Africa. It preserved food, especially during long journeys across the Sahara. Ivory mining also developed in Mali. Agriculture was actively developing on the fertile lands of the Niger Delta. The country was ruled by the Keita dynasty for over 100 years, and its founder, Sultan Sundiata, ruled for 20 years and laid the foundations for its future prosperity. In 1280, his descendant Musa was born, and he was destined to become the 10th ruler of Mali. He was a young man with dark skin, a pleasant face, and a good figure. His gifts struck the eye with their beauty and magnificence. Information about the early period of Musa's life, like most rulers of the Malian Empire, is small and fragmentary. In medieval Mali, there was a practice when a king, going to Mecca or going on a journey, leaves a viceroy on the throne, who then becomes the ruler. This was the case with Musa, who in 1312 replaced his older brother Abu Bakr II, nicknamed the King of Travelers, when he, being obsessed with the Atlantic Ocean, went to explore its coast and did not return home. First, Abu Bakr II sent an expedition of 200 boats into the ocean to make sure that it ended somewhere. They took with them provisions and water for several years. After some time, the crew of only one boat returned home. Its captain said that all the others sank in a whirlpool, and they were saved by a miracle. But the Sultan did not believe him. He ordered 2,000 boats to be equipped for him and his men, and another 1,000 for water and provisions. Then he granted me the regency for the duration of his absence, and set off with his men on a voyage across the ocean, never to return. Mansa Musa. According to historian Ivan van Sertima, Abu Bakr's expedition reached the shores of South America, although there is no evidence to support this. In any case, no one returned. Musa remained on the throne and became the first ruler of the country to adopt the title of Mansa, or emperor. At the beginning of his reign, Musa tried to convert the entire population of the empire to Islam. At first, the undertaking was successful, but gold miners from the southern provinces of the country, supporters of traditional beliefs, rebelled and disrupted their work in protest. The treasury's revenues fell sharply, and Mansa became more tolerant of non-Muslims living in Mali. All citizens, regardless of religion, were required to pay taxes and serve in the conscript army. His country provided shelter to Muslim refugees from the Iberian Peninsula who had fled the Reconquista. Musa, who spoke Arabic fluently, established friendly and trade relations with his neighbors. During his reign, Mali's economy grew steadily, and its residents' standard of living rose. But the country's true golden age began after the king's Hajj to Mecca. Mansa Musa and the collapse of the Egyptian economy on the way to Mecca. In 1324 to 1325, the pious Musa went down in history thanks to his famous Hajj, a pilgrimage to Mecca. He entrusted the throne to his son Muhammad during his absence. His journey, which took almost 10,000 kilometers, lay through the Sahara and Egypt. The Hajj is obligatory for every devout Muslim, but never before has it been so luxurious. The Sultan took with him 30,000 people, 12,000 slaves, each carrying 4 pounds of gold bars, 10,000 soldiers, and about 500 heralds dressed in Persian silk clothes and informing everyone of the approach of the monarch. The caravan included several people taken specifically to carry the ruler's golden staffs. Everyone who went with the caravan, even the slaves, were dressed in gold brocade. For food, the Sultan took with him huge herds of goats and sheep. Such a luxurious caravan required appropriate maintenance, and the Mansa carried more than 12 tons of gold. Thanks to them, he did not deny himself anything. Musa took with him 80 dromedary camels, loading each of them with sacks of gold powder weighing 50 to 300 pounds. There were also about 100 elephants in the caravan. Eyewitnesses who met him on their way were amazed by the wealth. They had never seen anything like it before. Even moving across the Sahara, Musa dined daily on freshly cooked ocean fish and fresh vegetables delivered by couriers. In each city where Musa stopped on the Holy Friday for Muslims, he ordered a mosque to be built. In July 1324, Musa arrived in Cairo and went to the palace of the Mamluk Sultan al-Malik al-Nasir. At their first meeting, Musa was asked to kneel before the Sultan. This was required by protocol. The Malian ruler declared that he would kneel only before Allah, but as a sign of respect, he still kissed the ground at the Sultan's feet and gave him 50,000 gold dinars as a token of his attention. Al-Nasir supplied him with horses, camels, and gave his emirs to serve Musa. It was not without reason that Musa stopped in Cairo. At the beginning of the 14th century, the city was one of the financial capitals of the world, a major market where gold buyers from all over the world traveled. Musa wanted merchants to come to Mali instead of Egypt, but his country was almost unknown abroad. The luxurious caravan was supposed to attract the attention of overseas merchants and show how rich Mali was. In Alexandria, the Sultan was seen not only by African, but also by Italian traders, who, upon returning home, told everyone about Musa's untold riches. Thus, the fame of the powerful Mali Empire spread throughout Europe. But this alone was not enough. It was necessary to get rid of Egyptian competitors. Therefore, the Sultan in Cairo and other cities everywhere gave away gold to the poor and bought goods and souvenirs from local merchants at exorbitant prices. There was so much of it that it depreciated. Financial losses throughout the Middle East are estimated by modern standards at $1.5 billion. The situation became especially difficult in Cairo, where the Malian king spent 3 months in a luxurious palace. Egypt then spent more than 10 years getting out of an economic crisis. This man flooded Cairo with his donations. He left neither the court emir nor the holder of a royal office without a load of gold. The Cairoites received incalculable profits from him and his retinue, buying and selling, giving and receiving. They exchanged gold until they reduced its value in Egypt and made its price fall. Ibn Fadl Allah al-Omari. Musa's journey home was difficult. There was almost no gold left, and he had to switch from a luxurious life to a regime of strict economy. Returning home, Musa, realizing his mistake, borrowed from Cairo moneylenders all the gold he could carry with the caravan at an extortionate interest rate and in large quantities. Local authorities were delighted with this opportunity to quickly restore the Egyptian economy. But upon returning home, Musa immediately paid off his debts and immediately resumed hyperinflation. It was a generous demonstration of power, wealth, unprecedented in its size and beauty. In 1375, after Musa's death, Mali even made it into the Catalan atlas created by the Spanish cartographer Abraham Cresques, the main guide for medieval European sailors. It depicts the king sitting on a golden throne on top of Timbuktu, holding a golden globe in his hand. After the Hajj, the golden age of the Malian Empire, began. Musa's special operation was successful, and soon after his return home, Mali was flooded with foreign merchants. Thanks to them, so much money appeared in the country that the Sultan began to spend it on his subjects. Education became an important part of Musa's policy. Mosques, madrasas, libraries were built everywhere, and a large university was created. Musa paid special attention to the city of Timbuktu, which in his era became not only a financial but also an educational center. People from all over the world came here to study. He built mosques and minarets, convened meetings, introduced the adhan, and invited the Maliki faqirs to the country. May Allah be pleased with him and elevate him in religion. Timbuktu became the most expensive and mysterious city of the Malian Empire. At the very beginning of his reign, Musa ordered the army to destroy the robbers who lived in the Sahara and attacked merchants. After that, trade in goods in the city reached a previously unattainable level. Many trade routes passed through it, connecting the whole world, and almost all the inhabitants of the city were wealthy. Traders from Venice, Genoa, Grenada, and other cities of Europe often came here. Timbuktu was dotted with luxurious palaces and buildings. It became an African El Dorado, and people from abroad came just to look at the city. Even in the 19th century in Europe, Timbuktu had the status of a lost golden city on the edge of Africa, attracting Western fortune hunters. Under Musa, Timbuktu became the intellectual capital of the country. The Sankora Madrasa, which still exists in Timbuktu, was built during his reign. It housed the largest collection of written texts since the Library of Alexandria, and at its peak, 25,000 students could study in the madrasa. The city's libraries and private collections contained about 1 million books. A local scholar's diary has been preserved, in which he describes his private collection of 1,600 books as one of the smallest in the city. All education in the city revolved around mosques, and imams taught young Muslims history, mathematics, geography, physics, chemistry, astronomy, and business ethics. Every institute in the country also taught the Quran. In this way, Musa strengthened the national and religious self-awareness of his compatriots and integrated Mali into the rapidly developing Islamic world. In Timbuktu, it became so prestigious to support education that locals competed for the right to finance libraries, pay stipends to students, and buy school supplies for them. Salt comes from the north, gold from the south, and silver from the land of white people, but the word of God and the treasures of wisdom can only be found in Timbuktu. Sudanese proverb "the Sultan did not forget about the army," because there were many people around who wanted to capture Mali. Even on the way from the Hajj, Musa learned that his army under the command of General Sagmandia had recaptured the city of Gao, previously captured by the neighboring country of Songhai. The city had been part of the Malian Empire for many years, often becoming the center of rebellions against the central government. Gao was an important trading city, and Mali was very upset by its loss. Returning home, Musa immediately went to Gao and traveled around the entire city. He took 2 hostages, the sons of the local ruler, Suleiman Nar and Ali Kolon, and took them with him to the then capital of Mali, Niani, settled them at his court, and gave them a good education. In 1330, Timbuktu was briefly captured by soldiers of the Masi kingdom, but Musa soon recaptured the city. The Sultan strengthened the country's army, increasing it to 100,000 people. Its main fighting force was an armored cavalry corps of 10,000 horses under the command of General Saran Manadon. Musa caused a construction boom in his homeland. In Niani, he ordered the construction of a luxurious audience hall, the entrance to which was located right inside the royal palace. The hall was built of hewn stone, decorated with multicolored arabesques, and a dome was installed on top. The building was 2-story. The wooden window frames of the first floor were decorated with gold, and on the second floor, the frames were covered with silver foil. The Sultan brought a number of prominent architects from Mecca to Mali, including the Andalusian builder Abu Ishaq es-Saheli. He is credited with building the luxurious Djangarebier Mosque in 1327. Moreover, es-Saheli was also a diplomat. In 1337, he wrote a letter to the Marinid Sultan, urging him to start a war against the city of Tlemcen in Algeria, which was advantageous for Mali. For his work, the Malian king paid him 200 kilograms of gold, or $8.2 million in today's dollars. Diplomacy in the army helped Musa expand Mali, annexing 24 major cities. The Malian Empire of the Sultan's time included the territory of modern Mali, Senegal, Mauritania, Burkina Faso, Niger, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, and Côte d'Ivoire. It occupied an area of 500,000 square miles and was the largest empire in the history of West Africa. Under Musa, Mali was second only to the Mongol Empire in terms of area in the world. The writer and traveler from Morocco Ibn Battuta, who visited Mali 12 years after Musa's death, said that it took him 4 months to cross the country from north to south. Unlike modern Mali, the empire had access to the Atlantic Ocean. In 1337, Musa died at the age of 58. Mali was then at the peak of its development. The sons of the deceased began to rule the empire, but they were unable to retain power. Under Musa's son Magan I, Mosi captured and plundered Gao and Timbuktu, depriving the treasury of a large part of its income. An outbreak of plague also broke out at the wrong time. It did not reach Mali, but swept through Morocco, leaving behind thousands of victims and disrupting the entire trade system in North Africa. The country slid into internecine wars, while constantly changing sultans continued to live in grand style. By the end of the 15th century, provinces began to separate from Mali, becoming separate states, and the country itself ceased to be mentioned in the works of Islamic historians. Mali split into several small states, and one of them, Songhai, became the leader in West Africa, capturing most of the lands of the once powerful empire. Mansa Musa is still remembered in Mali. In 2010, local businessman Aliou Diallo issued a commemorative coin in honor of the legendary ruler for the 50th anniversary of Mali's independence. Musa's wealth has become a legend that lives on even after many centuries. In 2012, the ruler took first place in the ranking of the richest people of all time, compiled by Celebrity Net Worth. His fortune was estimated at $400 billion, and he even surpassed the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. Although some historians believe that this figure is too low, he is the richest man anyone has ever seen. That's the whole point.